Basic Brewing Radio is sponsored in part by the American Homebrewers Association. Summer is the perfect time to embark on a homebrewing adventure. Join the American Homebrewers Association for 1 year and receive a free brewing book of your choice to fuel your experience. Discover the joy of enjoying your own cold, crisp beer on a sunny day. Plus, get a free book to spark your beery inspiration. So join the American Homebrewers Association and start tapping into the joys of brewing. Visit homebrewersassociation.org/basicbrewing for offer details. homebrewersassociation.org/basicbrewing. Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio for Thursday, August 3rd, 2023. I'm James Spencer. Here at Basic Brewing Radio, we're all about home brewing. This week, Matt Giovanisci of Brew Cabin joins me to formulate a recipe for a red IPA using some of my leftover HomebrewCon grain samples. Also, we taste Matt's cold IPA that we formulated last time we were together. If you want to support us financially, check out patreon.com/basicbrewing. Thanks to everybody who is helping out in that way. If you go to patreon.com/basicbrewing, you can see a long list of stuff that you can access if you sign up as a supporter. Financial supporters have already seen the video that I'm going to post to the general public on Friday. It's the last video that we shot sitting on a dock, floating on a pond in the full summertime sun. What were we thinking? We were thinking it's going to be cooler than it was. That's what we were thinking. In this episode, we taste Steve's mulberry mead, made with the mulberry juice that we got from our first test run of the steam juicer. We also have sort of a blast from the past with a very simple sparkling mead that Steve made for his son Chase's upcoming wedding. It's very similar to the mead that I made for Steve for his and Gretchen's wedding way back a long time ago. I remember sitting on a patio with Steve, sampling that mead or one like it, and saying, why don't we just do mead? This is really good. Well, sometimes the simple things are the best, and sometimes when you drink a lot of mead, you make plans that don't end up happening. I'm writing this on my laptop that I've had since 2015, and it's time to bid farewell. The battery in it has swollen over the past year or so, kind of scary, and now it doesn't hold a charge. So I finally have to let it go. This is like the last script I'll write on it, and this afternoon I'll record what may be the last audio show that I'll record on it. Thanks, old laptop, and many thanks to our sponsors and financial supporters who are making it possible to buy a replacement laptop that I hope will last just as long. Turns out it costs money to make this show. Monday, but I'm cheap. I mean, the thing is 8 years old, and my iMac that I do the editing and the audio and video editing is older than that. So, I'm frugal, otherwise cheap. Monday, I brewed the red IPA that Matt and I came up with on this episode. I think it's going to be really good. As always with batches of that size, 5 gallons or 19 liters, I brewed it with, and also I could do 10. I could do 10 gallons if I wanted to. I've got the big system. I brewed it on my Warthog brew in a bag system from our friends and sponsors Desiree and Dave from HighGravityBrew.com. Using the build your own system feature on HighGravityBrew.com, you can design the Warthog electric system that will be perfect for you to use to take the pain out of propane, including upgrading your gear with Spike and Blickman vessels and components. You can really do it up right. HighGravityBrew.com also has standalone controllers and pumps if you're really handy, and turnkey systems if you're like me and want Dave to pick out all the components and put it all together. If you use the code EBC75BB, you can save $75 off your Warthog gear. But HighGravityBrew.com also has Brewzilla systems. If you're a fan of the more all-in-one style of electric brewing, they have assorted Brewzilla gear, including a brew-in-a-bag pulley system that's really got my attention. I wonder if Susan will let me hang it up out there on the patio. And while you're on highdgravitybrew.com, use the Build Your Own Beer page to order ingredients for your next batch, like I did for the ingredients that I didn't have already on hand for this red IPA. Send Desiree and Dave some love for supporting this podcast for so long. That's at family-owned and operated highdgravitybrew.com. That's highdgravitybrew.com. Okay, this is a fun one, as usual, with Matt. I was thinking of making a big, fruity IPA to brew with my leftover ingredients and the I-10 Mangostini that I had in the fridge. I'd searched the BJCP app for IPA, and a long list came up, as you would expect, but red IPA came up as an option. That sounded delicious to me. Matt Giovanisci, welcome back to Basic Brewing Radio.
Thank you for having me back.
I'm excited because we're going to drink some beer.
Yeah, I need one.
I'm going to go ahead and crack this beer, and what we're having is a cold IPA, which you brewed and we formulated last time we were together. In the meantime, have you figured out what a cold IPA is?
I'm pretty sure it's it's like a hybrid between a New England IPA and a Pilsner. It's like the best of both worlds, I guess.
So it's not an India Pale Lager.
It's not an IPL, no, which is I believe a little maltier, classic hop, profile of like a standard, American IPA, whereas this one, hoppier, but more on the, like the way that you do it at a New England IPA, you're doing a lot of dry hopping, a lot of late addition hopping, but then you're trying to make a very clear and crisp beer. And even the difference of a brute IPA, which I would say it's much closer to than an IPL. It's, you don't need to use the enzymes, although I did. And it's even less maltier than a brute IPA because you're basically, in the case of I guess a New England IPA, malts and adjuncts play a big role, whereas in a cold IPA, adjuncts and malt take a backseat and just let the hops shine.
Well, it smells great. So tell us about the recipe.
Yeah, so this recipe is a split between not a full split, but a little bit of flaked rice and Pilsner malt, specifically Weyermann Pilsner I used. And the hop profile is all Citra. I put a little bit of Citra, about a quarter ounce in at 60 minutes for the boil. And then I did the rest of it all at Whirlpool for about 30 minutes or so. I believe that's what it was. And then I did something different, something I've never done before, which is I did something called dip hopping, which is when you take a little bit of the wort before it's done boiling. You take about a quart of it and you put it in the fermenter hot, and then you add the dry hops to that little bit, that 1 quart of liquid in the fermenter, and let that sort of steep and come to room temperature on its own. And then you chill down the rest of the wort that's been boiling, and then you add that on top. And what I did for the dip hop is I used or Lupamax or Cryo, I guess, or I don't know, there's probably other names for it. I used 3 ounces instead of 6 ounces, which I would normally use on a T90 pellet. I did 3 ounces, so about half in the Cryo dip hop, and that was the entire dry hop.
And so you use, just for clarity, 11 pounds of Pilsner malt and,
yes,
and 5 pounds of rice, which is a ton of adjunct in there.
Yeah, correct. And then, just mashed I think I mashed at 145, so pretty low. And did a standard hop stand. I was right. 30 minutes, 6 ounces of hops. And then I think the water profile was pretty neutral. Didn't do anything crazy, but I also added Whirlfloc yeast nutrients, and I added something called glucosamylase 400.
That's the
And
enzyme.
that's the enzyme. So I did, a brewed IPA enzyme, and I also added Clarity Firm.
Oh.
And if you look at it, it's not that clear, although it's been conditioning for about 30 days. So this is about a 30-day-old beer. And I'm surprised that it has not cleared.
It's pretty clear.
I've done other ones.
It's
clear-ish.
To my homebrew standards, it's clear, but
yeah. That's same.
But no, it's not crystal clear. But it's certainly not a hazy beer at all.
It's not a hazy, no. And I think on the episode, I don't remember if we said it was Que Bueno we were going to use as the yeast from Imperial. I ended up using Huguet.
Oh.
L25, which seasonal strain, same as Que Bueno.
Yeah.
Because I had a starter. I made a starter of that because I really wanted it to, dry out the beer as much as possible. Hence the low mash temperature and the, glucosamylase and the Clarity Firm and all of those things, and flaked rice. So yeah, this is the beer.
It's way good. I had one last night. I cheated.
Mm-hmm.
I had one last night, and I had it from the beer fridge, which is down in the garage, which I keep a little colder than my keg or my kegerator. And so when I tasted that, my first impression was, wow, this tastes like a crisp, clean lager with a bunch of hops. And it took a little while for the beer to warm up enough to where the hops started to kind of shine through. This one I'm sipping on right now has been in my kegerator, which is a little warmer than the one downstairs. And as soon as I poured it in the glass, boy, the hop aroma came jumping out. And it smells great, which is a pretty good testament for my my feeble nose. I don't smell hop aroma as much as I used to. But this really comes through. So for an average beer judge or whatever, it would probably smell really amazing. The flavor, I was tasting it last night, and I couldn't remember what hops we had used or you had used in the recipe. And I was like, what is this? Because last night I didn't get so much citrus, like a lemony character. I got more, and I'm getting it now, more of a tropical fruit leaning toward melon, which is interesting. I don't know if you have a different take on that.
Man, I would say my nose is better than my sense of taste, although I think they're the exact same thing. But I can definitely smell more than I can, I guess, on my tongue. I definitely smell Citra. Like Citra has a very specific aroma to me. So when I smell this beer, I get Citra. But then when I taste it, I'm not getting citrus. I don't even know. I don't know what I'm getting, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm getting like the green not a cantaloupe, but the honeydew. Is it the green
honeydew?
The green melon.
Yeah.
It's on. I'm on a little tour of that section of the salad bar. Where
like cantaloupe. Do you get any cantaloupe?
I'm not getting so much cantaloupe. Like I say, it's leaning more toward that green, honeydew melon. Cantaloupe to me has a very specific flavor, but this is more of like a ripe honeydew. So there's a sweetness there that from the hop flavor. It can't be from the malt, obviously, because it's a very, very dry beer. But it's a nice complement. It's a nice balance to the dryness of the base beer. If it didn't have that, it would be a pretty dry, crisp beer, which would still be enjoyable, but not as enjoyable. I think that this is really, really well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy with it. I wish it was clearer, but that's just me. I like the aroma. I love the aroma. I'm not crazy about the flavor, but I think personally that's just because I want New England. When I smell that hop
I see.
flavor. I want it, and then what I'm getting is a lager, or like a like a bitter lager. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it came out good. I wouldn't change anything. Maybe if I were to do anything to this, experiment with hop blend as opposed to just going 100% Citra. And I liked the idea of the dip hop, but I think I would have gotten a lot more aroma had I done just a traditional dry hopping schedule. But the Lupamax, man, that could also be the thing too, is why it's not clear is because I whenever I use that like really powdery lupulin, cryo hop product, my beers stay cloudy longer. And the other thing too is I've read, because I've not experimented with this, but a lot of my New England IPAs recently have like gotten clearer than I wanted them to. And so I'm like, all right, well, how do I, like, what are some techniques to, keep the haze really, really hazy? And one of them is to dry hop early in, like, during fermentation as opposed to post fermentation. And this was dry hopped during fermentation, actually pre-fermentation. So I'm wondering if that's also adding to the maybe the chill haze or the protein haze or whatever.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it smells great.
Yeah,
it smells great. It tastes good. Yeah.
I wonder if you didn't. I mean, if you were just handed this beer and somebody else had made it, whether you would have the same opinion of it or whether your expectations of the flavor are coloring your perceptions.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, if it's if someone else handed me this beer, I would love it. But because I made it and I'm super self-critical, I'm going to search for flaws.
Well, then again, if you have something in your mind when you're brewing the beer and you're like, oh, I think it's going to taste like this, and it doesn't, then it's like, oh, it's wrong. Or at least in my way of thinking, usually if I do something and it turns out different from what I'm expecting, that's a ding against it that it's got to overcome immediately.
and to be honest, like, I don't drink cold IPAs. I just don't. There's not that many of them around here. I don't lean towards them at all. So it's not that I am. I haven't had so many that I'm like, oh, I know exactly the flavor profile and the aroma that I want in this beer, and even the mouthfeel and all of those things. Like, but if I did drink a lot of those, I would be like, oh, it's probably dead on. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I love it because I got it close to all my favorite commercial examples, which is why, like, I love New England IPAs and I love Pilsners, and they're so different, right? They're so this is sort of a hybrid, and yet when I'm smelling it, I want to drink when I smell it, I want to drink New England IPA in my mouth. And then when I drink it, I get Pilsner, and I'm like, well, then I want Pilsner flavors. So it's neither of those things. And so my brain is thinking it's, that's my assessment of it. But yeah, otherwise I think, like, I tend to lean more towards technical achievements as opposed to just flavor achievements. It's very dry. It's very clean.
Mm-hmm.
Because Hugo is a lager yeast, is that correct?
Yeah, the number is L25. So
yeah, but I fermented it like an ale.
Yeah,
so I fermented it at 68 degrees Fahrenheit.
Well, it tasted to me, and again, when I first drank it really cold last night, I was like, yep, this is a lager. This tastes like a lager. And at that point, it was like, wow, this tastes like a brute IPA.
Yeah.
When it was really cold, it tasted like a brewed IPA. This doesn't taste like a brewed IPA because it's several degrees warmer than the one I had last night. But again, like I say, halfway through the glass, I was drinking it slowly to kind of get my thoughts together on it. And halfway down the glass, I was like, oh, okay, I like this better because it's opening up, and I can taste it better. and it's less of that sharp, mostly bitter. The most of the hop character I was getting when it was really cold was the bitterness.
Yeah.
And then once it opened up, once it warmed up, I enjoyed it a lot better. And this is great. I've got 2 more cans of it downstairs that you sent, and I'll probably move those up into the kegerator before I serve them to Steve this week when we shoot the video.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I look at this and I want to taste beer-flavored beer, and I'm not tasting that, like that idea in my head. It doesn't have that graininess of a beer-flavored beer because of all the rice and how light it is.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
It really is sort of a clean sort of canvas for Citra hops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's way good. As I said earlier, I've already brewed this red IPA. It's in the fermenter and almost done with fermentation. I'm going to dry hop it tomorrow. I pitched the latest hybrid strain from our friends and sponsors at Imperial Yeast, I-10 Mangostini. Mangostini is a natural hybrid of 2 Kvike strains, no GMO, and you can really tell it's a Kvike strain by how aggressive the fermentation went. In the first beer I brewed with Mangostini, my Honey Peach IPA, I was surprised at how fast the airlock went the day after pitching. It really kicked in. Very similar to the Hot Porch Kvike batches that I've done in the past, even though my spare bathroom, of course, wasn't that hot. So with this red IPA, I pitched warmer than usual, 80 degrees Fahrenheit, or around 27 C, and it's pretty much done with this big hoppy beer in 2 days. The Honey Peach IPA tastes really, really good. I got to share it with Steve on video last week. I fully expect this red IPA will be just as good, thanks in large part to the I-10 Mangostini from Imperial. I like to say my stir plate is dusty because I don't use it anymore to make starters for moderate gravity 5-gallon batches, and my airlocks are usually bubbling before bedtime, thanks to those 200 billion cells in each easy-to-open package. Ask your local homebrew store about I-10 Mangostini from Imperial Yeast and check them out at imperialyeast.com. That's imperialyeast.com. All right. We're not done yet. We're still got to...
No, we are not.
I was just going to turn off the thing and just drink beer with you. But
that's it.
We got this other thing. This other thing we got to do. So I still have this. So 2 things I want to challenge you with this week. I've got a bunch, and I challenged Chris Colby, and he helped me out with the Honey Peach IPA. We used some of the ingredients that I had on hand that I had gotten from mostly HomebrewCon, this year and then this past year, and also I have on hand I-10 Mangostini. In the fridge downstairs, which is good for hoppy beers. Boy, that the Honey Peach IPA really came out good. So here's what I have on hand still. I have a pound of caramel 20, so 20 Lovabond caramel, 8 ounces of American honey malt, 4 ounces of Victory malt, SRM 28. And 4 ounces of extra special malt, SRM 130.
Well, is extra special malt like a carafa? Is it a debittered malt, or is it dark?
No, it's not debittered, but it's SRM 130, which is that equal to Lovabond? Are those equal? Those two, but it's pretty dark.
Yeah,
but there's 4 ounces of it. So I kind of cheated.
So it's probably like a 120. It's probably like Crystal 120 ish.
Only I don't know that it's a crystal malt. It's a special.
Oh, right,
it's special.
Right.
Matt, it's special. It's extra special.
Extra special.
So what I cheated just a little. I cheated just a little bit. I opened the Brewfather, and I put in 11 pounds of pale ale malt. That's 2 row to you and me. 1 pound of the caramel malt, 20 Lovibond,
Mm-hmm.
8 ounces of the American honey malt, and then the 4 ounces of extra special malt at 130 Lovibond. And I went ahead and added, because I got some local honey from our friend Caleb, the beekeeper.
Mm-hmm.
So I put in a pound of honey because it went so well into that honey peach beer. So all of that together, and I looked at the color on the Brew Father thingy. It's getting close to red, and we're wanting to do it. Have we said we want to do a red IPA?
Yes.
Week?
Yeah.
And I guess
IPA.
I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves. I don't know much about red IPA. I just saw the name, and I was like, I'm not sure if I've had one.
Yeah. I said the same thing because I challenged you because I'm like, red IPA. I don't think I've ever had one before. Like, here's 3 other styles that are pretty close to that, and one we've already done. We've done an American amber ale.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was good.
And so I decided because I'm like, I don't think I've ever had one. And then I went to the liquor store over the weekend, and I had to go on my phone because I'm never going to find a red IPA with all the beer at the liquor store. And so I went on my phone and I was like, well, what's commercial examples of red IPA? And I'm like, oh, there is one like right in front of me, right in front of, and I'm like, oh yeah, I've had that before. I'm drinking a Finkel and Garf India Pale Ale. It's called, but it says red IPA on the side. And it says the description is hoppy, fruity, smooth with a 6.5% alcohol by vol.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
and I did have this. I'm going to open it now. I did have it over the weekend, and I really liked it. But I liked it so much because it reminded me of an amber ale, which I love.
So is it basically just an amber ale on a little bit of steroids?
Yeah. It's an amber ale base with hops, with more hops than an amber ale. It's not as balanced.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So
I'm in.
So shall we start with my cheat? Do you want to
I think so. I don't. So what SRM did you come out to?
10. Okay,
so when in my research, 15 was about right.
Okay, so we'll need to tweak it a little bit. So we might have to edit here, but let's put these things into your thingy, your software.
You want me to use my software?
Yeah.
Yeah. So alcohol, we're in range. OG, FG, we're all in range. The SRM is a little under, so not by much. I mean, we're at about 9. We should be between 11 and 17 according to the BJCP.
What if we add some roasted barley?
That's kind of where I was going to go. Just add a touch of dark malt. Do you have any, or do you have to get it?
No, but I'll order it. They have it at highdgravitybrew.com.
All right. So let's do roasted barley. What do you know? What kind?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to stick with the one I have.
Yeah.
I'm going to go. I'm just going to hit 8 ounces and then I'll adjust from there. Okay. Yeah, that was crazy.
I was going to say that's a lot.
That is a lot. All right. Let's go 3. All right. Okay. 3 gets us 3 ounces of just like a little kiss of roasted barley gets us to 15 SRM, right in range.
There we go.
And I kind of feel like that's exactly what we did for our amber ale. We added the kiss of chocolate malt to kind of give us the little thing. And I think it's good that we're not going with a chocolate malt because I think that would muddy the bitterness a little bit. But I like the idea of the roasted barley. So I think we're good. There's a lot of fermentables.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it won't be like mulligan stew. Hopefully it's not like, because in the past I've kind of picked at brewers who like throw everything they have into the brew pot or into the mash tun.
The kitchen sink beer.
Yeah. I don't think this is going to be like that.
You know what? I would say it's not, but I have no idea what special looks or tastes like. So it's only 4 ounces. I mean, we're not talking about a lot, but
right. Now we have the hard part.
All right.
We got the malt, we got the yeast.
Yep, and that's not in the system. So what's the what's the other one that was before that one in the Imperialis series? Do you remember?
Oh, Capri.
Capri
Was the other hybrid.
Do you think we should just use that as the? I mean, I don't think it's going to change much.
Yeah, although the Mangostini, I pitched, and I did pitch it a little warm. I pitched it at like 70 degrees Fahrenheit. But the next day, I mean, it was bubbling before bedtime. I was getting, some bubbles in the airlock. The next day, man, that sucker was going strong. I mean, it was almost as strong as the Kveik on the 100-degree porch strong. I mean, it was really going. So
I'll tell you what. So just kind of on a side note, I am sipping this red IPA, and when I'm looking at it, it's when I think back to our amber beer, our amber was pretty dark. This is not dark. This is not like, I wouldn't say it's like a brown or even close to amber. Is
it like a Killian's red?
Yeah, it's like if you took an American IPA, just a standard base American IPA, and added a little tiny red food coloring to it, you'd get this. And it kind of tastes exactly like that. There is no I don't know if this particular can will tell me what malt. No, but it doesn't really have a strong maltiness, at the way that I think the amber did. It's mostly bitterness and hops that I get. If I shut my eyes, I wouldn't think it was that dark of a beer.
Huh. Well, I'd kind of like to have, since we're doing this, I'd kind of like to have our malt to have some flavor.
There definitely needs to be crystal.
Yeah.
The crystal, I can taste. I smell the crystal more. Again, there goes me. I can smell it more than I can taste it. But
between us, we make a good beer judge.
Yeah. Your palate, my nose.
So I think
yes.
So I think between the caramel malt and the honey malt, and then and then the extra special, and then the roasted barley, and then the honey itself. I think between all of that, we're going to get some malt character, or some something other than hop character.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. So yeah. Then really, besides the yeast, I think the water profile should just be kind of basic. So I think your tap water will be fine.
What I love to hear.
Yep. I don't think it needs to. There's no.
Might as well say that.
The body's gonna. It's just kind of it's pretty. There's nothing special about the body of this beer that I'm tasting. Now we just got to talk about the hops.
Yeah.
And from my research, we're talking classic American. We're talking about it's really just an American IPA mixed with an American amber, and so your classic C hops, your Simcoe, your Amarillo, if you want to go that far. But I do know that, according to John Palmer, I do have this roughly 60 to 70 IBUs, right? There's a thing in Brewfather which I've never looked at, but maybe we'll look at this time. The BU to OG ratio.
Oh yeah,
should be 1-to-1.
Yeah, that's straight out of Designing Great Beers.
Yeah,
by Ray Daniels.
Yeah, I never really pay attention to that number, and so I'd like to do that a little bit if we can. 50% of your hop bitterness at 60 minutes, 25% of hop bitterness at 30 minutes, and 25% in the last 15 minutes of the boil and dry hopping.
Oh, interesting. I've kind of abandoned putting hops in the middle of the boil, so this would be a fun experiment to put those back in.
I think we should do it because classic American IPA.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm gonna. I know you said you would defer to me, but we're talking about all those classic American hops. Your Centennials, Cascades, even Columbus we could throw in there as a C hop. What's the other C hop? There's another one. I can't think of it.
Did you say Centennial?
Centennial, yeah. I would not throw Citra in the mix.
No,
although I believe that's a newer one. Simcoe I love. Amarillo is not my favorite.
Well, plus we've used Amarillo like in the past 2 or 3 recipes, so
We have. You're
give
right.
it a break.
So what haven't we used?
Well, I was looking. It's funny you should say. I was looking on highgravitybrew.com. Just I went into the search bar and just hit put in hops.
Yeah.
And a ton of stuff came up, and I was just scrolling down, and they've got these what do you call them? Not keyframes, thumbnails. These big things, the pictures, the photographs.
Yeah,
for the
little pictures
for the hops that have the name of the hops. They have the description, and they have the alpha, the beta, the cohumula. They got everything in there. But what jumped out at me, this Idaho 7, the descriptors were berry, bubblegum, citrus, stone fruit, and tropical.
Yeah.
I haven't played with Idaho 7, but I think, and there have been some arrests made in the case of the Idaho 7, but
okay. Yeah, I've heard that most recently. Yeah.
But I think that sounds like a fun hop to try. At least
wow, that's sort of a throwback for me. I've never personally brewed with it, but I've drank a lot of beers with it. It was very popular for a period of time. I feel like Idaho 7 and Sriracha Ace kind of had a surge and then a drop off. But I feel the same way about like Sabro has like a big surge and then it's like I don't see it anymore. Strata also is another one I see and come and go. But yeah,
so is that a bad thing? What do you think of the Idaho 7?
I don't have a strong opinion either way, but I will say this, that I think it leans more towards what we want.
Oh, okay.
Like I think it leans more towards the classic American citrusy side more than the tropical fruit side.
Okay.
If I had to remember it, it's been so long since I've had it, but yeah, I would say it fits more into my like Centennial world than it does into my like Citra world, I should say.
Huh, okay. Well,
so I say we go with it.
Yeah, okay. Now it doesn't have to be the whole thing, it can be just a piece of the puzzle. Somehow it escaped. I don't think we did it on the Hop Sampler series.
Really?
I don't remember. I don't remember that. Of course, I don't remember a lot of things nowadays.
Yeah, sure. When you run a beer podcast,
and I'm old.
Sure. Yeah, the twofold.
But yeah, let's just throw that in the mix.
All right.
And
do you think that's a dry hop or is that a bittering hop?
Oh, I think we'd put that in as a dry hop to get the most character out of that.
I agree.
I think we could lean more generic on the every hop is special, but lean more on the generic sort of traditional bittering characteristics. For the beginning of the boil. Because most of that's going to be boiled away anyway.
And according to Palmer, 50% at the beginning. So like this is a IBU, we're isomerizing acids here.
Right. So what happens if we put like 1 ounce of Warrior?
Ooh, you mean a classic bittering hop?
Yeah. Is that bad?
Interesting. Okay. Well,
that's what I did. That's what I did for the Honey Peach IPA. I did 1 ounce of Warrior at 13.1% alpha acid, and then I did some calculations, and I didn't think it was going to be enough, so I added another ounce of Tradition at 5.7.
Okay.
And so the Honey Peach IPA is pretty strongly bittered, but I like it. I think it's good.
For me, I always like to think of. I mean, I don't know if this is tracked through our discussions in recipe development, but it's always been story based. So, what does the Warrior represent in the beginning of the bitterness of this red IPA? And I think the story that is sort of like emerging from this is like I went to HomebrewCon, I got a bunch of stuff, I want to make a beer, right? So I think variety is my story. Let's throw a bunch of things at the wall and see if they stick. I think every edition should go at a different time and be a different hop.
Okay, yeah.
All right,
let's do it. Fruit salad.
Cool. So Warrior is our now I have it set at 15% alpha acid because that's what the software gave me. Yours may vary, but that gets us to 47 IBUs pretty fast, which is in range for this. Yeah. So I'm happy with that.
And especially if we're going to add hops at 30 minutes, we're in good shape.
So what's our 30-minute hop? And I think we should go with what is that? Your flavor hop?
Yeah, traditionally.
Theoretically, yeah. Sure.
20 years ago. Yeah.
Let's do Cascade.
Oh, good. I like that.
Let's do, because we'll do American Cascade. I'm just going to throw in 1 ounce and see where we get. Okay, that's up there. I'm just going to do 1 ounces for all of this, and then we'll adjust. And then for flame, I think should we do 60, 30, 15 or 60, 30 flame out?
Let's do 60, 30 flame out.
And then dry hop.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay.
Yeah, let's skip that 15.
I'm going to do – I was leaning Idaho 7 more flavor or aroma hop, or whatever, flame out hop. But I didn't really have a strong opinion about what would be the dry hop. Because I kind of feel like Centennial should be a part of this, and I don't know when that should be.
Well, let's do Centennial to flame out.
Yeah, all right, I agree with you.
And then maybe a couple ounces of Idaho 7 at the dry hop.
I'm in. Okay.
So what's that do to our IBUs?
So we'll add Centennial at, you know what? Okay, yeah. Centennial at flame out. We'll do 1 ounce. I'll call it a hop stand, and we'll do it for 0 minutes, I guess. At 212 degrees Fahrenheit. That's where you are?
Yeah. Well, 209.
209.
And it'll take a couple of minutes, with my hot tap water coming out of the garden hose to chill down past the isomerization or the the utilization range of the temperature, but that's fine.
Okay, I like this. We're at 1 ounce of Warrior at 60 minutes, 1 ounce of Cascade at 30 minutes, 1 ounce of Centennial at flame out, 2 ounces. We could bump it up to 3 of Idaho 7 for 3 days of dry hopping. That hits us right at 60 IBUs, which I think is pretty where I'd want it personally.
Okay.
If we wanted to smell more of what the Idaho 7 is going to bring to the table, I think 3 ounces would be fun.
Yeah, sure.
And that's where that looks good. We're in range.
Yeah.
According to,
I like it.
So I'm happy with that. Standard Sackgrass 150, right? Nothing.
Oh yeah.
Nothing crazy. Yeah. Standard, primary fermentation 68 degrees. Nothing crazy.
It's probably going to be. Truthfully, it's going to be in the lower 70s, probably.
Okay, but you're using mangosteen,
right?
So that's going to bring. So you said you used it in the last beer you made.
Yeah.
It
went crazy.
Did it bring any sort of fruity esters?
Well, it's hard to.
Or was it clean?
It's a pretty fruity beer.
So how do you tell?
But I also put I used Amarillo and Nectaron both at flame out and dry hopping. So it would have to do a side by side test, but it's a tasty beer. It's pretty fruity on my palate.
Now, one thing I'll mention is we're at 5.9% alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
The beer that I'm drinking 6.5. We can go up to 7.5 according to the BJCP,
Whew.
which I've read You don't want to go too high in ethanol, but I think we could maybe bump up the pale malt a bit.
Just add another pound.
Just add another pound and see what that does for us.
Right.
Yeah, that gets us to 6.3.
Okay.
And I think that would be good for the high IBUs that we're throwing at it.
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm good with this.
I like it.
Cool.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I love these kinds of beers because I kind of feel like they always turn out great because you never have there's nothing that you're like, oh, I just kind of threw a bunch of stuff at the wall and hey, it's not bad. It's a beer.
Well, there's nothing.
So it's always good.
The thing about this malt bill, I mean, the hops sound amazing, but there's nothing in the hop bill that jumps out to me like it would be nasty or wrong or clashing or
no.
It's not like we're throwing just everything in the grain room of the homebrew shop in there.
Yeah, especially because the caramel malt is at 20 Levamont, so it's low as opposed to like, if you were adding like a 60 or even 80 to 120,
right,
then you get some like, maybe some sweet flavors that would kind of clash a little bit.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, how can American honey malt be bad? How can honey itself be bad? I feel like the minimal amount of extra special and roasted barley kind of just to throw a little color, a little blush in the cheeks, as Michael Dawson would say, that
it'll have a pinkish hue.
A pinkish hue.
Now I'm thirsty, and I'm almost to the bottom of this glass.
I know. So, well, don't open another one. That's a high alcohol beer there.
And I got stuff to do today.
Yeah, it's still early. You told people we're recording this at 9 a.m., right? No, I'm just kidding.
No, we're not.
Kidding.
But I still have things to do. Mm-hmm. All right, Matt. This has been fun.
Yeah.
And delicious.
Thanks for having me again.
And
always.
And as always, check out brewcabin.com and the Brew Cabin YouTube channel and subscribe to all the Brew Cabin goodness. I get your emails with advice on home brewing.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had this is a sidebar that may be an extra episode or something. I want to know what your feeling is on these stock tanks pool thingies. But that's another show.
Okay, yeah.
Because you and your significant other are the proprietors of SwimUniversity.com, right? Yeah, and the Swim University YouTube channel. So if you got a stock pool, and God, I don't know how people are. It looks dangerous. Anyway,
it does look good. A friend of mine has one. They're cool, but yeah, they look a little. They look short-lived,
a little iffy. Anyway, Swim University. Check that out if you've got pools or hot tubs or any other bodies of water outside or inside that you want to take care of and make sure everything is going right.
Yeah.
All right, Matt Giovanisci. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me again.
Well, thanks again to Matt. I really can't wait to taste this beer. It's going to be amazing. Dry hopping tomorrow. More details coming. Stay tuned. In the meantime, if you have brewing questions, show suggestions, or just want to say howdy, write to James at basicbrewing.com or just fill out the contact form on basicbrewing.com. And please don't forget to tell us where you're from. Check out our mobile-friendly shop at basicbrewingshop.com. Thanks to everybody supporting us through our Patreon page. Special goodies coming your way. Check that out at patreon.com/basicbrewing. So until next time, until then, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm James Spencer. Production help for Basic Brewing Radio and our website is provided by Kelly Dodson. Basic Brewing Radio is a production of Active Voicing. We'll talk to you next time, everybody. In the meantime, stay well and stay tuned. So long.